Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic should actually be a pretty easy one. We're going to be talking about drawing and clocking cards. Now, there's not too much I can say about drawing cards. If you don't know how to draw cards from the top of your deck, then I'm afraid there's not much I can do to help you. I suppose there are a couple of things I can say about the draw phase, though. First things first, any card that says at the beginning of your draw phase, you must do before you draw your card. There are some people that are really polite and will actually let you get away with doing the effect after you've drawn the card, but I've literally seen players draw a card, clock one for the turn, draw the two more, and then before they start playing cards go, oh, wait, by the way, I have change. At the beginning of the draw phase, I got to do this. And then they go back to do it, which is a little late. And while it might seem kind of mean to not let them have it, that can actually change the game. So don't forget that if a card says at the beginning of your draw phase, do this, then do it before you draw your card. Also, don't forget that Weiss is a game where even if you go first, you get to draw a card at the beginning of your turn. That means that there are far less downsides to going first. In fact, I really don't think there's any drawback to going first. Going first pretty much means you're ahead the entire game. So are you good with the draw phase? Alright, let's move on to the main event, clocking cards. So the flow of Weiss goes like this. Every turn you lose one option from your hand and you gain three more. It's one of the things that kind of keeps a little bit competitive because you're not just getting one card each turn and you have to play cards that let you draw more cards. Playing cards that let you draw more cards are great, but even if you don't have those options available in your set, you can still draw three cards a turn by giving up one card and dealing one damage to yourself. Now, a lot of newer players normally either forget to do this at the beginning of their turn, or they are afraid to do it because they don't want to keep dealing one damage to themselves. Personally, I think that it's great to do this pretty much all of the time. In fact, there are only three scenarios I can think of where you probably shouldn't clock a card from your hand. Scenario 1. You are at level 3 and have 6 damage already. Yes, you will kill yourself. Scenario 2. You have, after drawing your one card for the turn, exactly what you need to wipe your opponent's field. For example, let's say you have two cards in your hand, and when you draw your third one, all of your cards' power have exactly enough power to take out what your opponent has. If you ditch a card in this scenario, then you risk not drawing something that's strong enough to take out what your opponent has on the field, and that is a lot more important. And scenario 3. You need your waiting room this turn because some of your cards rely on it. There are actually a lot of cards in the game of Weiss that let you do things using your discard pile. For example, cards that let you get characters out of your waiting room and put them back in your hand. Now, if you need your waiting room, then sometimes clocking one to draw the two cards will cause you to deck refresh, and once you deck refresh, you lose that option. So now we know that you need to clock cards in order to open up options in your hand, but what exactly do you clock? Well, there are a few really easy ways to decide this one. First things first, quick rule of thumb. If you are not level 2 or level 3, and you have a level 3 in your hand, you can probably clock it. There are some incredibly rare scenarios where a deck actually revolves really heavily around a level 3, but in most scenarios, you can just get rid of it. I know it looks really cool, I know it's got a really cool effect, but honestly, if it can't help you right now or in the near future, then it's better to just let it go and let you have two more cards. Maybe two more cards that can help you right now. From there on, you can pretty much just get rid of the most useless card in your hand. Here's a really good thing to do in a duel. Take all of the characters that are your current level and put them in the back of your hand. And then take all of the other cards and kind of sort them in most useless to least useless. The most useless obviously being in the front. And just clock the first card in your hand. This ensures that you don't clock anything super important, and you have a clear image of what exactly you're going to clock each turn, and you don't have to take 5 minutes to mull over exactly which one you want to get rid of. One more thing. If every character in your hand is useful, do not be afraid to clock a climax card. Climax cards are meant to at some point be in your waiting room. You need to get them there somehow, and clocking it might be the best option sometimes. Sometimes you really do need all of the characters in your hand, or events if you're running a deck with events, but what I'm trying to say is climaxes are not that great. They're not as important as a lot of other people make them out to be. If you can clock them now to draw 2 more cards, then eventually they'll get to your waiting room when you level up, and that's fine enough. Now, for all of my note takers out there, during the draw phase, remember to use the beginning of draw phase cards before you draw your card. And going first still lets you draw a card, that means it's good to go first almost all of the time. During the clock phase, you always want to clock something, unless you either A, have every single card you need to destroy your opponent's field already, B, it would make you shuffle your waiting room back into your deck when you actually really need your waiting room, or C, it would kill you. If it is not level 2 or 3, just get rid of your level 3s. Remember to sort your hand during your opponent's turn so that you know exactly what you're going to clock at the beginning of your turn, and it also gives you a couple of minutes to think about it without wasting the opponent's time. And last but not least, don't be afraid to get rid of climax cards. Believe me, they're not always that useful. Okay, Weiss fans, next time we hit something a little bit meatier with the main phase, I will give you tips about what you should do during your first turn of the game, and some things that'll help you throughout the rest of the game too. So don't forget to stop by, and thank you so much for your support this far.